The Pixel Watch is Google's ultimate Android smartwatch, and it's pretty great, but how does it compare to the Samsung Galaxy Watch 5, the other king of Android watches? Both run Wear OS, have a round display, and work with pretty much every Android phone. We'll be breaking down the differences in the screens, the health sensors, battery life, and more to help you decide between the two. Now, your first decision might come down to price and size. The Galaxy Watch 5 starts at $279 for the 40mm version or $309 for the 44mm version, while the Pixel Watch is only in one 41mm size and starts at $349. For your information, I'm wearing the 40mm Galaxy Watch 5 in this video. You can also spend a little bit extra on both to get an LTE or cellular option that lets you use the watch away from the phone and still get calls and messages. Links to all the latest pricing and chapters are in the description for you, but without any further ado, let's get into it. Pixel, Galaxy, more or less? Game on! Yes, these are both round watches, but they really are like chalk and cheese in many other respects. The Pixel Watch has curved edges, a sleek wristwatch look with a crown and a side button. The Galaxy Watch 5 has a flat screen with two side buttons. Now, which one is going to be more comfortable on your wrist? Well, that will depend on things like the size of your wrist, as well as, of course, your personal style. Elegant and sleek, or utilitarian and practical? Now, for me, my wrist is 152mm, so that's pretty small, and the Pixel Watch I think definitely looks and feels better, especially if I'm doing sleep tracking overnight. It's much more comfortable, but it might be too small for some wrists, and I like having options with the Galaxy Watch 5, even if I don't think it's as comfortable overall. Then there's the question of bezel versus bezel. Now, both watches have one, and it's really going to depend on the watch face you use as to whether or not you notice it or not. The bezel on the Galaxy Watch 5 does have one extra trick though. It is a touch bezel, so you can move your finger around it to navigate and scroll through menu options. I kind of prefer the crown on the Pixel Watch. I don't think it's as fussy to use, and I don't have to be as precise with my movements. Don't get me wrong, I still miss the physical rotating bezel from older Galaxy watches, but hey, this isn't the time or the place or the video, so I'm just gonna go pull one out over there. Now, a physical dial is obviously easier to control as well if your hands are sweaty or wet. Unlike the touch bezel, that doesn't really work very well at all if there's any moisture in your hands. And speaking of all things damp, water resistance is on both, and they can track swimming. But only the Galaxy Watch 5 is officially rated IP68, so that means dust and water resistant. The Pixel Watch is rated for 5 ATM or 50 meters. Screens, beautiful screens. Both of these watches use OLED displays with a maximum 1000 nits, and I've had zero issues seeing either of them in bright sunlight. And they can stay always on too, which is a nice touch, especially if you don't want to keep raising your wrist or tapping the screen. But of course, battery life is affected when you use the always on, and we'll talk about that later. And let's get into the bands. On the Pixel Watch, there's a little button on the side you can push and then move the strap to detach it. And honestly, it's just a little bit fiddly. I accidentally end up somehow pressing the crown because, I don't know, fat fingers maybe? The Galaxy Watch 5 has more traditional spring bars, which are honestly just as fiddly, but the plus side is you get broader compatibility with 20mm bands. Watch faces are another way to change the look and feel of your watch, and there are not as many first-party options on the Pixel Watch as you'll get on the Galaxy Watch, but of course there are plenty of third-party options on the Play Store for both. And of course there is a speaker and microphone on both of these watches. You can do things like take calls, dictate messages, hear notifications read aloud, but only the Galaxy Watch 5 lets you play back music from the speaker, which is probably one of my It's a feature that no one probably uses except for me, but I love it. And the fact that I can do that on the Galaxy Watch 5 is great. So far, I think it's actually a pretty level playing field, but of course, we are not done yet. These two watches pretty much do all the basics. They track your steps, they track calories, your sleep, and so many different workout types. The biggest differences are in some of the health tracking features and the interfaces. So the Pixel Watch really relies heavily on Fitbit for its workout tracking, and in the app you'll find all of this information after the fact, while the Samsung Watch is all found in Samsung Health. Yes, you can use Google Fit on both, but I don't know why you would really, because it's totally subjective. But for me, overall, the Fitbit app is the most easy to use, and it services things in a much nicer way than the Samsung Health app. On the flip side though, the Galaxy Watch does do things like automatic workout detection for, say, walks and runs, and it is super reliable. But for some bizarre reason, the Pixel Watch does not do this. Even though other Fitbits have automatic workout detections, like, what are you doing, Google? Here's a laundry list of other health features you might want and need. The Galaxy Watch gives you a bioimpedance sensor that measures body composition. There's also a blood oxygen sensor and a temperature sensor, but that last one isn't active yet at the time of recording, which is kind of a bummer. There's also an ECG app for detecting signs of atrial fibrillation, but you also need to have a Samsung phone to use this feature, unless you do sideload the Health Monitor app on another Android. Doable, but a bit more work. The Pixel Watch also has an ECG that works on any Android phone, as well as blood oxygen tracking, but the theme is sensors aren't active at the time of launch, and the blood oxygen on the Pixel Watch is not, at least at the time I recorded this. I guess time heals all wounds. The other thing is the Pixel Watch does not have high and low heart rate alerts and irregular heart rate alerts that the Galaxy Watch 5 does. They both have GPS built in, and that means you don't need to take a phone with you to track workout route information. And they both lock onto a signal within about 5 seconds of being outside, which is great. The Pixel Watch though was more accurate in terms of calculating distance when compared to a control phone. But things like steps and pace were all within the same ballpark of each other on both of the watches. Heart rate sensor accuracy is the other big calling card of the Pixel Watch, and compared to a chest strap, it is the watch I'd choose over the Galaxy Watch if I wanted the closest and most accurate results for a cardio workout. Okay, so we have to talk about Fitbit Premium. Now, this is the $10 a month subscription service. You do get 6 months free with the Pixel Watch, but it gives you things like workout plans, but more importantly, it's the in-depth health metrics like a daily readiness score and more in-depth sleep tracking data that I find the most valuable. You can totally use this watch without the subscription, but it is something to keep in mind if you like all of that extra data, and I find it really, really valuable, especially because the Pixel Watch just gives me more useful information, especially about things like recovery, which is great if you're trying to train for something and you just want to make sure that you're not overtraining or conversely undertraining. The Galaxy Watch does not need a subscription to unlock any additional data, which is great. But on the flip side, the data it does give you is really just not as in-depth as the Pixel Watch overall, specifically around sleep tracking, which is superior on the Pixel Watch. Now, not only is the sleep score way more indicative of the quality of my sleep, like one night I get a score in the 90s on the Pixel and a score in the 70s from the Galaxy Watch. Like, who doesn't want to be a star student when it comes to sleep? The Galaxy Watch just didn't really reflect how good I felt after that night's sleep. And the Galaxy Watch 5's blood oxygen readings overnight are just super low. I've been wearing this watch since launch and they just haven't got any better yet. So I'm still hoping for a software update to improve the accuracy of blood oxygen readings overnight. Time to talk about battery. It's so important for any smartwatch, and there's always a couple of ways to slice this. Now, results are going to vary depending on how you use the watch, but with the always-on display active and similar usage patterns on both, with notifications turned on and a 1-hour GPS workout, I can get about 21 hours on the Galaxy Watch 5 on the smaller version, or 20 hours on the Pixel Watch. So generally you'll want to top these up before bed if sleep tracking is your jam. Now, be aware that the Pixel Watch really eats a lot of battery for sleep tracking, and it can drop more than 20% overnight. With the always-on display off and lighter usage without a GPS workout, expect around 24 hours on the Galaxy Watch 5 or 26 on the Pixel Watch. Now, of course, if you have the 44mm Galaxy Watch 5, that's going to give you a bit more battery life, closer to about 30 hours. And I will update my full text comparison with LTE battery results once that's available. Samsung has another trick up its sleeve with reverse wireless charging, so you can put the watch on the back of some Samsung phones to top it up, which is kind of nice. Speaking of charging, the Galaxy Watch 5 goes from flat to 45% in less than 30 minutes and then to full in about 1.5 hours. The Pixel is about 30 full minutes to get to 45%, and then to get to completely full, it will get there in about the same time as the Galaxy Watch 5. And neither of them come with the fast charging brick that you will need to support the fast charging times, because we can't have nice things. Please just give me a charger in the box. All right, time for all the other bells and whistles on these watches that make them smartwatches, not just fitness trackers. Of course, there is music storage on both, and you have a wide variety of third-party apps available through the Play Store. You'll get mobile payments on both through Google Wallet, or you can also put Samsung Pay on the Galaxy Watch. The Google Assistant experience is mostly similar between the two, but I think the Pixel Watch overall has the more smooth and seamless experience, especially when you're also paired to a Pixel phone. You can, of course, use Bixby with the Galaxy Watch 5 if you want. I don't really know why, unless you love your Bixby routines, but I know there are some of you out there. Text input on the Galaxy Watch 5 with the keyboard is a little bit easier just because there's more screen to use, and swipe to text is surprisingly accurate. The Pixel Watch screen is just not as big, so it's a little bit more tricky, especially with larger fingers. And of course, you can increase or decrease the text size as you like. All right, there is some bad news I have to share with you. Now, neither of these watches use the latest and greatest processors. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but performance-wise, the Pixel Watch doesn't feel as snappy as the Galaxy Watch. Now, it's not slow at all, but sometimes it does feel slightly less responsive, especially if I'm doing things like multitasking and running multiple apps, doing, say, like a workout and listening to music at the same time. Now it comes down to the part of the video where you need to pick a winner, and I think this one is very much a case of a dollar amount and what use case you have for your watch. Now, the Pixel Watch arguably looks nicer. It has better heart rate tracking, GPS accuracy, and more refined data analysis. But it's only one size, and the battery life is really not as strong as it should be for the price. Now, the Galaxy Watch doesn't add any game-changing features to the smartwatch world, but it does come in multiple sizes. And it has some sensors the Pixel Watch lacks, as long as they get turned on eventually, and you know how to use them to their full potential. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this has been helpful for you in deciding which Android watch is the right one for you. If you have any additional questions about things that I didn't touch on in the video, drop me a comment, find me on your favorite social media app, and if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. It means that I get to do more for you, and stay tuned and subscribed for lots more smartwatch videos here on CNET. See ya!